Hey, good Thursday morning, everybody. Welcome into the Volquest Mailbag Podcast. I'm Eric Kane, alongside Brett Hubbs, Austin Price, and Rob Lewis. Got a lot of questions to get into today as fall camp is officially underway for Tennessee football. Got tons of practice coverage, video, highlights, pictures, notes, observations, press conferences, all that and more over on the General's Quarters and at VolQuest.com. Just the opening week, so we'll have plenty of coverage throughout the next couple of weeks on until the football season opener and, of course, throughout the rest of football season. We'll get started with BC Lion 06. Who is the one player on the team that nobody's talking about that you'll think will have a great season?
Great? What's the definition of great? I'll go more most improved. I think Lance Hurd is going to be much improved from a season ago. I think he'll be a different player. I am pretty interested to see where Edris Farouk is at safety. I think he's got a ton of confidence right now and kind of where his game is. I don't know. Rob, Austin, jump in here, Eric too. I mean, I don't know if there's a guy that really hasn't been talked about. I mean, I feel like everybody talks about a lot of guys. So I don't know if there's somebody just completely out of the blue that nobody's talked about. Who am I missing, AP?
I was going to say, people like Wendell Moy. Like, to me, that just doesn't show up. Like, it's hard for an offensive guard to just go, for the common fan to be like, oh, wow, he was unbelievable in that game. I would lean more like an Edmund Spillman. I mean, I think people were talking about him a little bit, but I don't think it's like a gross amount. And so, like, somebody like
William Inge hit the mediate.
Farouk is a great one, though. Farouk's another good one.
William Inge hasn't spoken to the media. That's coming this weekend, so.
Yeah, but I don't think you're going to see anybody come off the radar be great. I mean, by great, I would think, all SEC type player. And nobody that we're not talking about is going to do that. I think you're talking like what you guys are talking about, somebody who's, going to step into a bigger role. And I think you got a lot of those. You better have a lot of those guys, especially on offense. I mean, receiver for sure, offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, Staley and Matthews are two of the most important guys on the team. I mean, obviously, the quarterback stuff's going to dominate, but I mean, we talked about it a little bit with Heupel on Wednesday, but I mean, you're replacing a quarterback, but man, it puts a little finer point on it when you're also replacing a center that started forever and your leading receiver on your team last year. I think this is right, had 33 catches. Mike Matthews is second, coming back with 7. I mean, there's a lot of new faces over there in crucial positions.
First player that jumped to mind when I read this question was Edwin Spillman. And again, we talk about everybody, but I think
I like Caleb Herring in that question too.
Yeah, Caleb Herring's a pretty good one. Like, Edwin Spillman gets overshadowed by Arion Carter and Jeremiah Telander, but that's who I would pick. And Chicago Vol 01 likes Spillman a lot. He wants to know, what are the chances that Spillman takes over Telander's starting spot at linebacker? AP, I mean, they're going to rotate. Those guys, those three specifically, are going to lead the rotation. They're going to play the most snaps. 1 week to the next. I mean, Arion Carter is going to be out there. You think Jeremiah Telander is going to be out there, but those three are going to play the most snaps.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters who starts, who doesn't start. I mean, it's kind of like Jordan Gainey on the basketball team. Did it ever really matter that he didn't start? Because at the end of the game, if it was crunch time, he was more than likely going to be in the game. So, like, I think it more boils down to how much is Edwin Spillman playing, and I think you'll see him play quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think this for Spillman. I think Spillman has all the talent in the world. I mean, he's still light on experience. I mean, he's still got some learning curves there. So I think for him, it's about how much he progresses throughout the season, which I think is going to be a lot. I think he's got potential star, player written all over him. But I mean, Jeremiah Telander is going to be ahead of him, because of his experience, particularly the first part of this season. But they are going to rotate all those guys. And back to the first question, I think you probably got to throw Colton Hood into that equation as well, because he better be a factor with where they are secondary and the unknowns right now.
And he's a good-looking guy too. I mean, being out there the first couple of days of practice, he's a long levered athlete, as they say in the trade.
Yeah, in practice number 1, when we were watching, Hood was at the corners and McMurray was at star. Boo wasn't out there, of course. He did some stretches but didn't go out on the practice field. Was told that McMurray also got some reps at corner. We know he can play corner. He was the number 3 corner last year. So, but it looked like Hood at corner, McMurray at star, at least on day 1.
And I think that makes the most sense, don't you, Austin? I think for 2 reasons. One, Colton Hood's played corner at the Power 4 level. That's what he did at Colorado opposite Travis Hunter. And I think when you're learning a new defense, the easiest transition is probably coming to corner as opposed to nickel, whereas Jalen McMurray has been immersed in the defense and knew nickel last year. To me, he makes more sense to go to nickel and Hood to come in and play corner, because I think that probably plays to everybody's strengths, given what they know about this defense and where they've got college experience at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head.
I am who I am. When you think back over the years covering Tennessee athletics, college sports, what is something back in the day that you disliked, but looking back now are things that you took for granted and or was better than you originally thought?
Oh, I mean, I think anytime you cover a football team and you see every practice, every minute of every practice, November practices you think are just the most awful thing in the world. But if getting to watch preseason scrimmages meant you covered November practice, I'd probably be okay with covering some November practices at this point. I mean, I think that from a job standpoint, I wish I just got to see more. I mean, I think it takes a lot of time. You give up. I mean, when it was afternoon practices, I mean, you missed a ton, with family and all those things. But man, you just seeing guys with your own eyes is something I miss. And the older I get, the more I miss it, because I think it's harder to give a real opinion that's not a hot take or not a complete conservative. Well, I don't know, because it's just, you just don't see a lot. So
it's so funny. Eric and I were talking about, we were walking into practice on Wednesday morning and talking about that exact same thing. And like, I don't miss being over there at like 9 o'clock at night, coming off the baseball field for the second practice of the day. But man, I'd love to be like, when you got 3 quarterbacks in the competition, boy, I'd love to see a couple scrimmages this month. I mean, I would sit in those hot bleachers for it. This seems like a million years ago. I think I blew Eric's mind. The freshmen would come in like 2 days on the road.
Yeah.
The first
they had 2 days. They had a morning practice that was either offense or defense only. So everybody worked, with the exception of Peyton. Peyton and the quarterbacks just worked as a quarterback. But all the offensive linemen worked as defensive linemen on the defensive practice. And then in the offensive practice, like your linebackers are trying to play tight ends and running back, and your DBs are playing receiver. And they did that for 2 days. Before the varsity reported and before you saw veterans practice, you saw the entire signing class work out for 2 days.
But then again, they had
positions they were never going to play at.
I love that you called it varsity.
But they also hadn't been here since December either.
That's true. Most of them had gotten here about 2 days before they went out.
Think back to when Eric Ainge and Britt Schaefer were 2 freshmen that had been talked about since they were recruited. They're in a battle for to be the starting quarterback, and we're in Neyland Stadium. Philip has us in there watching scrimmages. I mean, just can you imagine?
Yeah,
that would break Twitter. It would break.
And you would get stats sometime too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a note. I've got a notebook on my desk over there. I'm not going to get up and walk out of the screen and go get it, but it has all of Peyton Manning's scrimmage stats from his preseason of his freshman year. That is just
pretty cool.
In a notebook that I kept of like everything, his whole stat line of what he did in scrimmage number 1. It was not his completion percentage was not very high in 1994 in his first ever scrimmage in Neyland Stadium, but. You kept everything back then.
Hubbard will not tell you. He's got asterisk, kid will never make it written on there.
No, I wasn't one of those. There were a lot of people, though, criticizing his wobbly throws as a freshman. He still wobbled a little bit in the NFL, but it wobbled his way to Canton, so it worked out all right for him.
All right, Brent, with the new Vol Network team, when do you and Mike Keith and company start getting in production meetings and get things rolling? Looking forward to the new broadcast team. Go Vols.
We've had conversations. I mean, I don't know about like hardcore production meetings and everything like that, but which we'll have, in the coming days. But we've had a lot of conversations. The 3 of us. We've had dinner together and shot the breeze. I mean, I do radio with Ramon every Friday, so there's obviously a pretty good chemistry and comfort level there with him, and we'll all follow whatever Mike Keith's lead is on that deal. So it'll be fun.
Matt for Rocky Top, physically, how are Herring and Ross looking? AP, got to look at Caleb Herring and Jordan Ross today. What did you think?
Give me that eyeball test, AP. Give me that eyeball test.
It's the end of July, 1st of August. They all look like $1 million right now. I mean, they do. I mean, they've all put on the right weight and put on a lot of muscle. Herring looks awesome. So does Ross. Doesn't equate to the field necessarily, but they look the part as of right now. The question is what do they look like? Can Jordan Ross look like James Pierce did as a sophomore? Because if he does, then watch out. Or is it more really scaled down? What does Caleb Herring? Can he stay healthy and help this team this fall? All those things to be determined.
Another question here from the poster: does Isaiah Campbell get in the rotation this fall at some point? Is he inside, or can he play the 5 technique? Brent, I don't want to say you arrive and you're just given a spot, but it feels like where they were depth wise, and I know they addressed it a little bit through the portal, but he's in that interior rotation defensive tackle for sure. It's inside. He said on Monday, or I guess it was Wednesday. He said on Wednesday that he's comfortable playing inside, and he feels at home now, where that was a bit of an adjustment. But I would expect him to be in that rotation defensive tackle, wouldn't you?
Well, it depends on how deep they go in that rotation. Who your top 3 are. Your top 3 are Bryson Easton, Jackson Moy, and Davin Hobbs. Okay, are you going to play 5? Or are you going to play 6? Where does Josh Snell factor into that rotation? Is he 4? Is he a bounce in and out guy? What are you going to do there? Are you going to go 5 or 6? If you're going to go 5 and Snell's one of those 5, then where's Utley and Campbell kind of battling that part out? Does Don Bailey slide inside and play some, inside and rabbits packages and those types of things? I think Rodney will play both of those freshmen. Now, will they be regular rotation 20 snap a game guys? I don't know that it's going to look like that personally, but we'll see. I think that's a pretty good question and a pretty good battle to see where they are after the first 3, who are pretty obvious where they're going to be. And I don't know if he can stay healthy, but Nathan Robinson's on this team, and they got a lot of they like his ability. It's just we haven't seen it because he can't stay healthy.
Something that stood out to me from when some of these freshmen talked to us the other day, Ethan Utley said he was at 264. Again, I know he was sick a little bit when he first got here.
He started the day at 271 also.
Oh, that's right. He said he started at 271. He was at 264. Okay.
After practice.
That's still pretty light for the interior.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
Yeah. So,
again, I think, how are you going to use them? Okay. And so, is Ethan Utley going to be a third down rabbits package inside pass rush guy? Are you going to put him in a third and short goal line situation formation? Probably not. But you can, if you're playing next to a 315-pound, with the way they want to play vertically up the field, that guy doesn't have to be 305 pounds in a squatter. It depends on how you want to scheme it up. And I think that's what Tim Banks was talking about on Tuesday when I think, Austin, you asked him about, hey, you had your best year last year, kind of go from there. And he was quick to point out, look, last year's last year. This is a different team, different group of guys. How we make it fit with these guys scheme-wise will be different than it was. So we'll see. 2 years ago, Tyler Barron played as many inside snaps as he played outside snaps.
And physically right now, they're kind of similar bodies, I feel like. Like Utley and Barron. Just kind of how they both look. Not long term. I think Utley's going to get bigger, but current body versus what Tyler was 2 years ago is very similar, I feel like.
The UT with the 12-team playoff format, what does Tennessee need to do to secure a spot in the field? Is 10-2 enough with our schedule, or does the SEC logjam make that more complicated?
Depends on how the league goes. Depends on how all of college football goes. How many teams does the Big Ten get? How many teams does the ACC get, or the Big 12? 10-2 could get you in easily. Could be really on the borderline.
Yeah. Who is your one win against? Right? Who do you have a bad loss? Did you lose late? Right? I ask Ole Miss what happens, right, Rob? Don't lose one late. It hasn't, it has an effect. Bad losses have an effect. I think there's a lot of variables to say this number absolutely gets you in, based on what happens with everybody else.
I have a hard time seeing any SEC. Again, you don't know. It depends on what else is out there. But, man, as a 10-2 SEC team, I have a very hard time seeing it. And for Tennessee, I think Hubbard, think about these scenarios. Most likely, if you go 10-2, you have beat Alabama or Georgia. And say you did that. you're not going to win if you go 10-2 with one of those wins. Your bad loss, or it would probably be at Florida late. Would that knock you out? If you'd beaten Georgia, at home, or Alabama on the road. I have a hard time seeing any SEC team, but Tennessee too, left out at 10-2. But losing in Gainesville late might do it.
Yeah.
If Florida's bad,
I wouldn't leave it up to chance for sure, because that loss on November 22nd or whatever it is, I mean, that's the only thing those committee members are going to be thinking about. But a win over Georgia or Alabama. I mean, Tennessee's win over Alabama carried them last year all the way to the playoffs. I mean, that was the signature win. So you absolutely need to be one of those two teams, in my opinion.
And losing at Arkansas is not as bad as losing at home to Ole Miss or losing to Vandy.
Where is this roster still thin heading into the 2025 season? Any position groups where an injury or two could derail things quickly?
Yeah, wide receiver in all capital letters with 14 million exclamation points. And that's only 13,990,4,994 more receivers than they have.
Yeah, I mean that's where you start. I don't think any team's deep enough, but by and large, I think that's the world we live in with the portal and everything. I don't know that you're stacking like we've seen teams stack. There are rare exceptions, but I think for Tennessee, it's. You sit out there and you look day one of practice and Chris Brazzel's not out there. And suddenly now you're at 6 scholarship wide receivers. And Mike Matthews is the most experienced one with 7 career catches. And of the 6, 4 of them have never suited up for a college game.
I think you had 11 college receptions on the field, on the practice field on Wednesday with Brazzel on the side.
Who's a walk-on that could maybe show up a little bit and take advantage of this opportunities? Trey Weary, I believe, was rep with the first team, quote unquote, day one. He's a veteran.
He knows the most. He's caught some passes, in mop up duty before. So I think you would start there in terms of walk-ons.
Yeah.
I do think that if push come to shove and they had some kind of crazy, injury bug at that position, like I think Ethan Davis and or Desean Brain could almost like split out and give you something in out there in space.
Even more motivation for Jack Van Dorselaar to get going and get ready, right?
Man, I tell you, I have no idea what he's going to do. Brain is a quick twitch athlete, man. He is not, look like your prototypical tight end with a big, long body. He can move in and out of his cuts.
RWDYvawl, if you could only have one out of the hider keys for this class, who would you take? AP, which one?
I would take Keys because I think we just talked about the need of receiver, and Tennessee's been able to run the ball with whoever they've had back there. That's me. But I'm greedy, so if I'm them, I want them both.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's no disrespect. I want them both, right?
The one person hider, Eric, is the fact that he's very low key. Like, Keys is committed, and he's Florida, he's taking visits, all this stuff. Hyder has just kind of been like, he doesn't even like when people write about it. He's like the opposite of wanting the attention. So,
and no disrespect to Jabari Small. He's getting opportunities in the National Football League right now. He's a good player. He had 24 career rushing touchdowns here at Tennessee. Like, he had 14 in 1 year. I got faith they can run the football with whoever.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was Jabari not the higher rated guy between Jalen Wright and Dylan Sampson, the 3 of them? Was Jabari a 4-star?
They were all 3 stars.
They were all 3 stars.
I know the other 2 I thought Jabari might have been a 4-star. But either way, the point being, and I asked, DeJuan Morris about it on Wednesday, how attractive it was, just what Heupel's been just plugging guys in and, productive in the NFL.
With the house settlement and roster limits expanding to 105, as you all have stated, teams are more willing to extend offers to in-state kids that they otherwise would not have taken a chance on. With that, do you expect teams to be more active in pushing out players that don't improve right away, or more than they have been? Similarly to how NFL teams will take flyers on guys late rounds on purely upside play.
I think you're going to take chances when you go to the 105. There are going to be some higher end walk-ons that you think, that would be higher end walk-ons that you think can help you. I tell you what you're going to do. You're not going to carry 5 kickers on your roster. That's going to change. You're not going to go 3 deep at long snapper. I mean, some of those things are going to change because you're going to put on scholarship a guy who you think might develop and help you. Do I think that there's going to be there may be some transition with those guys? Yeah. I mean, I think some of those guys may look at that and go, at some point, hey, I want to play, and they transfer down if they end up not being good enough. Or if they think they're better, they might try to transfer somewhere else. I mean, I think there'll be movement with those group of guys. We'll see. But I think you're just going to take, and I'm not going to call them practice squad guys, but there's a little bit of that, right? I mean, you take a chance on someone like an undrafted free agent, if you will, and see if they can turn into a football player.
By the way, back to the previous question, I just looked it up. Jalen Wright was number 373 in the composite. Dylan Sampson was 393 in the composite, and Jabari Small was 571 in the composite. But Sampson and or Wright were both 4 stars by at least one publication.
Gotcha.
And of course, Hyder is the number 1 running back in the country.
Yeah, and he's number 8 in the country, something like that. Top 10 player. McMoney Vol, who has the better season, Chris Brazzel or Mike Matthews? Rob, who you think?
Give me Matthews. I'm high on Mike Matthews. I got a funny feeling.
Rob's got that look in his eye. You got that look in his eye.
I think Mike has that look in his eye.
Funny feeling. Are you sure that's just not your mullet tickling the back of your neck?
I got Mike Matthews as well. That's who I'm taking.
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
RockyTopRay, biggest takeaway from day 1 of fall camp.
Same takeaway you have every year, day 1 of fall camp. Good looking football team.
Yep.
Good looking football team. They looked the part, run around shores, had a good summer. I mean, that's what you see every year, right, Rob? I mean, you guys look around, say, hey, it's a good looking team.
I'll go off the field. I mean, I know he was around the spring and taught, but man, Isaiah Campbell, by the time he's a junior, is going to own that locker room, the defensive side of it. I mean, he's going to be the old guy that's sitting there holding court, in front of his locker after practice. Dude has got a lot of personality, and on the field, and to me, probably the most physically impressive looking freshman, I think. I mean, dude, he's the kind of guy that can definitely take Rodney Gardner's coaching. He's got the right attitude.
He's one of those guys that looks like, first guy off the, first 5 off the bus for sure. Like he could step in and immediately play.
And then we'll do a 10-minute interview, like when he steps off the bus.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to tell you about our friends over at Home Field Apparel, the official exclusive apparel sponsor of Volquest.com. Football season, it is nearly here. You can almost smell it in the air. And if you're heading on out to Neyland Stadium this fall, be sure to be decked out to the nines in Home Field Apparel. Can't miss Kickoff 2025 campaign. Get you football boxes, coaching jackets, bomber jackets, and so much more. You take a look at this Can't Miss Kickoff calendar, the schedule here on the 8th of August. Football boxes begin to become available. Game day starts here. 4 essentials, all exclusive. On the 14th of August, blackout, whiteout bomber jackets will be unveiled. The 19th of August, home field at the tracks, where opening soon at Kirkwood. 8/27, the 27th, birthday bash. The 28th, Puff Ink Truckers, and the 29th, Tri-Stripe Crew Necks, all exclusive over at Home Field Apparel. And you might be listening right now and saying, what is Home Field Apparel? Well, it's a premium collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis. Their focus is on creating incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. A wide range of availability in colleges, 180 and growing, but of course, you're only focused on the Tennessee Volunteers, and you can all check it out today at homefieldapparel.com. Homefieldapparel.com. The month of August is huge. So many things being unveiled throughout the weeks. Go check it all out today at homefieldapparel.com. Athrun, got a couple here. Do you think Ricky Gibson's new dedication to his nutrition and weight gains can be attributed to him getting embarrassed and pushed around by the Ohio State wide receivers last year? To that, you could tell Dominic Bailey kind of had during media day when he referenced the Ohio State game. You've heard a couple of these guys reference, what happened in December, Brent, I think they're motivated. And I think Josh Heupel's motivated that they don't want that to happen. They want to get back to the playoff. They don't want that performance to be lingering.
Well, let's be very clear here. Ricky Gibson wasn't the only one who struggled stopping Ohio State's offense in the playoff game. It was. I mean, let's not act like I'm not trying to pick on Athrun, but let's not act like he was suddenly exposed. I mean, McCoy didn't exactly have a great night that night either on the other corner. They threw over his head a couple of times as well. And I'm not going to equate this to the same thing because it's not. But I do think there are different points in times with teams where end of season moments like that seem to carry more weight. We'll see. The talking point from Ricky Gibson, from Don Bailey, was that losing that game that way left a great impression. It carried more weight than maybe some other losses have. We've seen that in Tennessee history before, that guys changed and realized, hey, I've got to be different. I've got to be stronger. I've got to be more physical. We can't be what we were if we're going to compete at the level we want to compete at. Is that the sole reason Ricky Gibson has put on weight and been dedicated to nutrition? I mean, I think it's probably a factor, Austin, but Ricky Gibson's also moving into year 3, which is what, AP?
Contract year. And to your point the other day, it is every year the contract year in some form or fashion with NIL, but this is the big contract. Right. You're trying to go to the professional ranks, you're trying to go to the NFL, and he's eligible after this season. So a really good year for he or Arion Carter or whoever else, and they could be off to the league.
And a 163-pound corner is not going to capture anybody's attention at the next level. And so now he's a 180-pound corner, which is a difference. That's a large difference.
Yes.
Who do you think gets the start at nickel if Boo has to serve a game or two suspension or whatever that is? Probably Jalen McMurray because he was there practicing today.
It certainly is right now. Again, if McCoy were healthy, I would tell you Colton Hood, but McCoy is not healthy yet. Don't expect him to be ready for the start of the year. And so with that said, you would go Jalen McMurray.
Who played it at Temple, by the way. He did play the nickel some at Temple when he was there. So he has experience in a college game playing that position. And so I think he's got more comfort there than a Colton Hood does.
And then after the Jordan Thomas injury in fall camp last year, all the talk was McMurray because he was limited too. It was like when McMurray gets back, he's going to go over to star, and he never did. I mean, it was Christian Harrison kind of stepped up, and then he and Boo split that. But there was talk of him going to play star last year too.
Yeah, and I think he would have had a real shot at doing that had he been healthy in camp. But to Christian Harrison's credit, I mean, he ran with it. I mean, nobody would. You go back to the first question of this podcast, and somebody asked, who's the surprise? Who's going to have a very good year? I mean, no one had. I mean, there's 2 guys last year no one had in their pool as being factors. Miles Kitselman and Christian Harrison are 2 guys nobody anticipated. Kitselman obviously goes on and becomes a starter. Christian Harrison starts until Boo Carter takes over, and then they rotate there. But if you'd have said first week of fall camp last year, hey, Christian Harrison's going to be the guy at nickel, everybody went, no, he's not. I mean, he's not. And so give him credit for going and taking advantage of the opportunity he got last year while McMurray was beat up or banged up, and that changed things.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they move him on the spot, or did he go into camp working a star?
Who's that? Christian Harrison?
Yeah.
I think he went into camp working at star.
Because he was a corner. He was a corner. There was talk about him maybe playing safety, kind of like the Caleb Beasley route. Will Lindsey Nelson Stadium be completely done by the start of the season? Looks that way, Brent, right? I mean, there's not a whole lot of rain this summer.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, I think that's right.
Do you think Desean Bishop's body can hold up for a whole season being the feature back in the SEC? Rob, I think they're going to do a split share back there. He might get the first carry, but I don't think he's going to have a Dylan Sampson workload at all.
Yeah, I'm just kind of guessing, but I'd be stunned if it's not pretty close to 50-50 between him and Peyton Lewis, but that's just a guess on my part. But I think it'll be a 1-2 punch.
Nashville 615. Do you envision a scenario where the offense has a step up in a variety of shootout type games this fall because the back end of the defense is leaky? Maybe not to the extent of 2021 or 2022, but more than some of the rock fights that we've seen last 2 seasons.
I don't know how leaky they're going to be back there. I mean, let's wait and see what. I mean, listen, if Colton Hood's what we think Colton Hood could be, and Ricky Gibson is 20 pounds heavier and a year better, I mean, I think they got a chance to be good at corner. Maybe not elite because McCoy's not there to start the year. But, I mean, I don't know that they're going to be this great leaky group that was perceived that some people perceive it to be. I think that's a little unfair to say right now.
Assuming they are leaky is like assuming that because Mike Matthews was a 5-star that he's automatically going to score 12 touchdowns this year. I mean, like, you shouldn't make assumptions on anything, which is why I just keep going back to the unknowns and you're not knowing anything until they throw them all in the deep end at the end of August. I mean,
if I was going to make an assumption on anything, I would assume Tim Banks is going to have another good defense like he has the past few years.
Yeah, much to the fans' chagrin, Tim Banks continues to produce good defenses. They're going to give up points. They're going to give up yards. That's going to happen. It happens across the board. Nobody plays 85 Bears or 2,000 Ravens defense. Like, that's just not how defense is played anymore. You're going to give up points and stuff. The question is can they get enough stops to give their team a chance? And they certainly did that, the last several years.
Yeah, and they still didn't give up many points last year at all, right?
They were second in the SEC in total defense, third in scoring defense.
I know. That's pretty damn good. But everybody bashes Tim Banks.
And they did it with a new safety and Andre Turrentine and a walk-on safety and Will Brooks, and a 163-pound corner. I mean, I'm not saying Tim Banks is, Monty Kiffin. He's not designing a defense that everybody in college sports is just going to take off and run with, like Monty Kiffin did. But Tim Banks can coach football.
He's not.
And they've gotten better every year. Right. They've gotten better every year. Are they going to be as good this year as they were last year? Probably not. I mean, are they going to pitch, 6 shutouts in the first half of games or the first quarter of games? I mean, maybe not, but I don't think they're just going to take some huge step backwards. They're too good up front. They're going to be too talented up front. They're experienced at linebacker, and I think they're going to find a way to make a group of 5 work in the secondary for them to be a solid defense.
If the starter is going to be Joey Aguilar, isn't it better to announce it earlier so that he can get as much time as possible with the first group?
Nah, not as many reps as they get in practice. I think the one who suffers in this deal is whoever the third team quarterback is. They just don't get as many. They don't get as many reps in fall camp with whoever's working. I think you probably get it to 2. You hope to get it maybe to 2 faster, just to equalize the reps a little bit more, because it's hard to be equal to all 3. But no, I don't think if you named Aguilar the starter next week, that it changes the amount of reps he gets with the group he's going to play with most of the time. I don't, as much as they rotate and as many snaps as they get on the practice field, AP, I don't think that carries that kind of significance as a lot of people probably think that it does.
I agree with that. I mean, ultimately, what you said is right. Like, whoever the 3 guy is, and I think early on, everybody's going to get adequate amount, and then I think it'll start to trim some down. But no, I made the bold call on Wednesday when I was on Josh and Swain that's for my hot take after day 1 of fall camp, and I said that Josh Heupel will make an announcement on quarterback Monday of game week. Like, I don't think he'll take it all the way to kickoff.
I agree with that.
Man, I thought, just the last thing on that, I thought Coach Halsley had a really good. Anybody wants to hear the thinking, he had a really good quote on how the coach's thought process on this, and how it'd be great to name a guy, give him more reps, but for a team, for the purposes of your team, your locker room, they've got to see a guy earn it. Just like Hubbard, like you've talked about before. I mean, that they've got to see a guy earn it. Somebody has to take it, and so that I don't think they'll accelerate it.
No, I agree. And yeah, the third string quarterback, once you get to in-season work, they're getting no team reps at all. I mean, they'll get indie work, but they'll get no team reps at all. So it'll just be the starter and the backup. How much do you think Joey Football is using his legs? Could he be the second leading rusher for Tennessee?
No. Because I think they're going to have, as we talked about earlier, I think they're going to be such a share. I don't think he can run for that many yards. But I do think that his legs will be a factor if he wins the job. And again, that's an if. This is an open competition. Jay Merklinger's got every opportunity, and I would tell you George McIntyre's got maybe not the same opportunity, because I just feel like that, it's probably too tall of a mountain to climb, but I do think that he's going to have an opportunity to showcase his ability in fall camp. But I think Aguilar is by no means the locked-in starter, as we said here at the end of July.
Here's a fun question. In this age where college sports has become more and more professional, how long can college coaches refuse to give access or answer any questions? The NFL literally lets fans watch practices for days and weeks in a row.
I mean, I don't think it's going to change. I mean, the only way it changes is if an AD goes to a football coach and says, "Hey, you have to open up your practice," and name me the last time an AD has been dictating that to a coach. I mean, the college football coaches have had the most power on campus for forever. I mean, the last AD who told a coach he wasn't closing practice was Douglas Adair Dickey, who told Philip Fulmer, "You can't close your practice." Now, Fulmer closed his practices after Coach Dickey retired, and Mike Hamilton, came in as the AD. But Philip wanted to close practices earlier than when he did. But Doug Dickey said it's not happening. We're not doing that because we need the marketing, the branding, the media needs to cover it. It's good for the fans. It's good for everybody involved. That's the last AD I'd noticed today to make a stand like that. I mean, you have some coaches around the country that don't care. I mean, I think they're open at Ole Miss. I don't know how many people go every day. I mean, if you had open practices at Tennessee every day, I mean, there'd be 30 media members there with various in various forms, whether they're doing their own YouTube channel or whether they're in print deal or whatever. And I mean, everything would be dissected in real time on Twitter, basically. And so no coach is going to do that. We're not going to get to that point.
Dub 17, who were the top punt returning options for game 1 or 2 if Boo's not out there?
I think DeJuan Morris is an option. Outside that, a year ago, McCoy returned punts before Boo took it over, and of course he's hurt. So it'd be interesting to see who they throw back there. It would be potentially some freshmen, probably whoever they feel like can, field it cleanly. That's the most important thing at this point.
Yeah.
There might be a lot of this in the punt return game this year. Let's make sure we have the ball at the end of the play. Let's just fair catch it.
If your offense is producing.
Yeah. Let's just make sure we're fair catching it and fielding it if we think our offense can get up and down the field and not have to generate a bunch of field position in the return game until somebody emerges. I think in the first game, you're probably going to take and put the most sure-handed guy back there, whoever that is.
Especially in a neutral site game. It's not
he's probably not going to try to return it. He's probably just going to make sure he's got the ball at the end.
Unless they've outkicked their coverage and he just has all kinds of open space.
Yeah. Or unless Boo Carter's back for game 1, then that's different.
I've thought if he gets back, he will be the punt guy as the starter in game 1 and be a backup as a secondary guy. That's kind of been my line of thinking if he's able to get cleared and be back with the team playing in game 1.
Somebody I wouldn't put back there, but does have a little bit of experience, at least in kick return, is Mike Matthews, but no chance.
No, you can't afford to do that.
Right? If you do, he's fair catching everything.
Yeah. Now, I mean, Deshaun's returned some kicks, but there's 3 backs that can play right now. There's a little over three wide receivers on scholarship right now. So. All right, DavyVol, between Nico and Boo situations, what do you think Coach Heupel learned from those situations in terms of how to handle those again in the future?
I don't know. I mean, I think both of those are different for different reasons. I think missing, and I'm not diminishing them, but I do think missing off-season workouts as opposed to not showing up for a formal practice probably carries a little different value there. So I don't know that he, quote, learned anything from either one that's going to drastically change his thinking. I think you look at each individual case differently and then go from there. I mean, I think it was very clear. I think it was very clear to Tennessee when Nico did not show up on Friday that he was going in the portal because the portal window is getting ready to open. For Boo's situation here, I mean, where's he going? And so, does that make sense, Austin? I don't think I'm necessarily saying that right. But, I mean, like, when Nico didn't show up, you're like, he's portal bound, so we'll just move on. Whereas in this situation, it's like, well, I mean, he can come back because he can't go anywhere else. So,
but he's got to come back for the right reasons. He's got to come back and not be a distraction. I mean, Boo's on a short leash here. If Boo doesn't do what they want him to do, he'll be out of here. And the question is does he make it to the season? That's why, when Josh Ward asked me on Wednesday, like, what are your expectations for Boo? I said, I have none right now. He's got to do what they want. If he does that and he gets back, then I expect Boo Carter to be at his best, because much like, we talked about with Ricky Gibson, it's a contract year for Boo, because he obviously, like, I don't put much stock in him being here past this year. I'm not saying he can't, but like when you flirted around back in the winter, flirted around again in the spring, like and what you did in July, like, the likelihood is you're not going to be here past this season. But if he's here, he needs to have a really good year, so it gives him more leverage to go somewhere else this offseason.
So, AP, you're saying if you're with a woman who a couple of different times has said, I want to see other people, and you keep getting back together, you might want to be looking around?
Sure.
I'm not trying to be funny or, whatever, but I don't know that you have an expectation right now day to day with Boo Carter. I don't know that your expectation is that he's going to be there tomorrow to continue to do what he's done to this point since coming back to, quote, be a part of the team. I don't think you have a day-to-day expectation from him.
Again, he was out there on Wednesday afternoon. He went to Children's Hospital, and that can have an impact on somebody, going in there and seeing those kids in hospital beds telling you how much they look up to you and stuff. Listen, I hope for Boo he's able to get it all figured out, get all the little stuff done, get back to the field, play some football. And if that means he plays the rest of his career here or just this season or whatever, like Boo's just got to do the little things. That way it doesn't. This like stuff like it happened earlier in July can either already has or will probably affect him when it comes NFL draft time, because the NFL looks at all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And the last thing they want to do is take a kid who decides to go AWOL on his team. And so these are little things that you can't have happen. So Boo's, to me, got to, get his stuff right off the field.
Yep. He got to stack days. He's got to stack good days of being committed to the Tennessee football program. And for Josh Heupel, it can't be, hey, he's done it for 5-6 days, he's back. This has got to be a long path back, because I think Boo has to earn back the respect of his teammates.
Yes.
Because my guess is there's a lot of teammates who went, okay, sounds good, Boo. Okay, you said the right things to us, but we got to see action, not words.
Another question here from DavyVol. Tennessee seemed to have more players' negotiations go public, and they were arguably top 10 talents on the team. Other programs maybe had one or two, if any at all, that we know of at least. How can Tennessee make those negotiations not get out in the public in the future?
Nothing you can do about that.
I would dispute. I'd say if you follow other programs as closely, it's pretty similar.
When a kid, an agent, a parent, or whatever decides they want to put it out there, for the world to see, and you have some media that are gravitating towards that stuff. It is what it is. Obviously you do see it a little bit more here because you're seeing the Tennessee guys, front and center. I don't keep up with it on the national realm. I'm sure Rob's probably right. It's probably out there. We just don't see it because it's not right in front of our face like it was with Boo or Ricky Gibson, that type of thing.
I think so much of it is driven by the agents, just because they're trying to. You guys know this. They'll drum up. So and so school has reached out to us, and the reaching out could be it could have occurred on such a trivial level that just maybe send us some tape or I think the agents are trying to create so much buzz that it's hard to know what's real in the transfers.
In Tennessee's situation, what they have 3, maybe 4 real public ones. Okay, they just listen, the quarterback deal. Nobody's seen anything like the Nico thing before in this deal. Even if somebody had done some public negotiation, nobody had really, quote, held out. Nobody just failed to show up. That one just that generated, because Nico generated so much national buzz coming out of high school because he was the first big name guy to get money. Now we talk about quarterbacks making $2-3 million a year, and it's no big deal. It's just, that's what they do. But when he did it, it was totally different. And so his headline generated so much publicity and so much talk coming out of high school. And then when he does this, it's a national story, whereas maybe somebody doing that at another school doesn't, if they do it publicly, doesn't generate as much national buzz because it's not as high profile the way Nico was.
Well, and and Boo did it back in December, and then Ricky Gibson sees Boo do it, and so on and so forth. And I saw them do it, and I said, "Wow, I'll just take the whole month of July off, and and put Hubs under the barrel and see what happens."
And I mean, on the Nico side, Tennessee wasn't putting any of that stuff out there. I mean, where'd that come from?
Right.
That's
the agent. I mean, it's agent driven. No,
it's all agent driven,
or agent and family driven. Agent and family driven, no question.
Rockytopmojo, if Merk or GMac win the QB battle and play well, could that impact Faison's commitment?
I mean, I think it's possible. I think for Tennessee, it's the best thing for the long-term kind of health of the quarterback room would be a Joey Aguilar wins the quarterback battle, and then you have a three-way battle next spring with Merklinger, McIntyre, and Faison. Now, if Merklinger doesn't win the job this fall, I think had Nico been here, Nico played out the season, Merklinger's rolling right in spring practice, battling out for the job. But when he left, to me, that changed the mindset for Jake Merklinger. If Merklinger does not beat out Joey Aguilar, I really do wonder if he's here next year. I just think that the mindset changed for Jake Merklinger potentially. If he can't win it this year with Joey, what's it look like next year with George a year into the system and Faison rolling into town?
Doolittle Vol, now that fall camp has started, have there been any notable position changes?
No, not. I think the day and age of making those major position changes are just few and far between for a couple of reasons. One, I think guys train at a specific position year round at the high school level now. And two, I think in the day and age of the transfer portal, it's hard to move a guy. It's hard to flip a guy from one side of the ball to the other side of the ball without them leaving, without them heading on elsewhere. So I think you'll see some, but I don't know that you'll see a ton of those. Maybe within the same side of the ball, but taking Cozy Coleman and moving from defensive tackle to offensive guard, I don't know that you'll see a ton of those in this day and age of college football.
Where I think you'll see that is with the in-state top players that we talked about earlier in the podcast that maybe wouldn't have had a chance to go to Tennessee out of high school, and then they get this opportunity with the 105 and that type of thing, and they're a safety or a receiver or whatever, and it's kind of like those kids are more willing to move. Your higher end players are not going to be as apt to move and change positions from what they really truly love.
Harold Perkins is kind of a unique deal. Freshman, get him on the field. He's a pass rusher, excelled there. Played inside backer the next year. Had an injury. Coming off injury now, he's at star this fall camp. That's what I read. And I'm like, are you serious? Because obviously he couldn't pack on enough weight to play inside backer at the next level. You don't see that often in college anymore. You see it going the other way. Bryce Neeson came here as a linebacker, DN, now, interior defensive tackle. So that's kind of a unique one. Cooper's Vols. If I remember correctly, Hub stated that our blitz package was too vanilla at times and was easy to spot. Do you think our self-scout this offseason and the addition of former DC Williams will help in that regard?
I think that they're going to blitz more this year. I think that they'll throw some more things than they did a year ago because I think felt like they could get home easier last year, Brent. So I think on the whole, the defense will have a few more wrinkles in it this year than maybe they did the previous years.
Yeah, unless Joshua Joseph, some of those guys really show up off the edge and become an issue. I think teams are going to think they can probably block Tennessee a little different, right? You go into last year, whether he had a good year stat-wise or he didn't have a good year stat-wise, Eric, every offensive coordinator and offensive line coach spent part of the week preparing for James Peters.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
How are we going to defend him? Well, now you don't look at that. So now maybe you think you can play it straight up. Okay, we don't have to help as much. Maybe we don't have to max protect here and do some things. So what's Tim Banks' counter to that? Can they get there? Can somebody really emerge? Or do they get more aggressive and maybe blitz linebackers and do some things differently than they did a year ago? We didn't see a ton of corner blitzes. Tim Banks' first couple of years, man, they brought boundary corner after boundary corner after boundary corner. Last year, they won enough on first and second down that when they were in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, they said, hey, let's play coverage. Let's play coverage and tackle. And they got off the field on 3rd down. It was their best year getting off the field on 3rd down. Now, their sack numbers weren't as high, Eric, but their 3rd down get off the field number, which is what you're trying to do most importantly, is the best it's been under Tim Banks. It just didn't have as many maybe splash plays for the defense, but boy, it was really effective because they got off the field better than they ever have.
Yeah, I'll take the consistently good 3rd down defense and the consistently good team that gives up the 3rd fewest points in the SEC over splash plays. Now the splash plays are fun. I mean, I was going to say, what's the difference in year 1 and 2 compared to 3 and 4? Tennessee blitz the star, Tennessee blitz the corner. They blitz. I mean, Jeremy Banks, Aaron Beasley were blitzing all the time because they didn't have faith to consistently get back there with 4. Not, last couple of years you did with James Pierce and company, and so I think that goes into play calling for sure. So we'll have to see kind of where Tennessee is in that regard. I think there needs to be a hefty mix in that bag. I think 3rd and short, bringing a backer, bringing an extra guy off the edge. I think or up the middle. I think pays a big dividend. So you just can't be too vanilla, or you can't be so predictable, right? You've got to mix some things up, and certainly that's up to Tim Banks. Last question. ETSU Vol, can you explain the executive order and what it means for college football? Last couple of years, quarterbacks have missed. Okay, well, we'll do this one first. The executive order, how does that affect college football and college athletics from what we know right now, knowing things change all the time?
Well, we don't know. I mean, because here's the thing. Is somebody going to say college football, college athletics is exempt of the antitrust laws? Which is essentially part of this executive order, which means you can tell, you can limit someone's ability to make money, and you can do those things, which Congress has initially said no. Now, does that go all the way through? Does that end up in the Supreme Court? We'll see. I mean, I'm kind of where Danny White is on this deal, and that is, I just don't know that it's going to work. And you got to try some stuff, and sometimes failing at some of the stuff may ultimately get you where you want to be or need to be. But we'll see what the executive order, what it plays out. I mean, is there going to some way hold up that says, hey, this players can only make X amount of money. We're going to limit the amount of income you can make off of your name, image, and likeness. We'll see if that holds up in the court of law and how high up the federal court system that goes, because it may go all the way to the top.
Last one, another one here from ETSU Vol. The last couple of years, the quarterbacks have missed wide open receivers. However, we hear a lot about DC's catching up with Heupel's offense. How can it be that case if we are missing open receivers? Seems like we were missing the wideouts more than the defensive schemes the last couple of years.
Well, I don't think they had a good year last year. I mean, I think receivers dropped too many balls when they were open. I think they overthrew some guys when they were open. Schematically, I think where they have to be better, and everybody's tired of me talking about this, they got to be red zone better. They've got to execute in the red zone better, and that's where scheme comes into play. Yeah, you want the splash plays, but everybody ignores, Rob, in 22 that for all of the splash plays that they had, and they had a ton of them, they were elite red zone offensively in 22. Elite in terms of the number of touchdowns, the ratio of touchdowns to red zone trips. They didn't settle for many field goals. They finished red zone trips with touchdowns in 22. That's why that was a record-setting offense as much as splash plays.
These aren't the only reasons, but two things. I mean, Hendon's ability to process. I mean, so quick, and just look at the interception, touchdown ratio, and the ability to use his legs, and the willingness to use his legs down there was just a different dimension. But he was so efficient.
I know Jalen Hyatt was a unicorn, but I remember against Alabama, he ran behind the line of scrimmage. They pretty much just tossed it to him. It was a pass, and he sprinted to that front pylon and scored a touchdown. That was from the 8-9 yard line. I mean, where's some of that? I get it. Nobody had that top end speed at the wide receiver position last year. Maybe Dante Thornton did, but different type of speed. Where's some of that creativity down inside the red zone? I don't know. Hopefully we'll get to see some of it this year. All right, that is going to do it here for this edition of the Volquest Mailbag Podcast. Fall camp is here. Plenty of coverage all week long into the weekend. over at Volquest.com. Pictures, video, highlights, press conferences, stories, all that and more. Observations from practice, what we see. We're going to see 4 more periods coming up later this morning, so looking forward to that. All that and more over at Volquest.com. It is officially football time in Tennessee, football practice time in Tennessee, and nobody covers it better than the Volquest team right here at Volquest.com. Appreciate the questions as always for Awesome Price, Rob Lewis, Brent Hubbs. I am Eric Kane. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Thursday morning Volquest Mailbag Podcast.